Sitting in the hallway.
Seriously?
Well, that's what they told them to do. Get away from the windows.
Let's keep going. So we do it.
So I. Greetings. Welcome to Finance New Orleans Programs Committee meeting. Chair Andronika Morris. Present. Ms. Giselle Johnson Banks. Mr. Steve Smith. Mr. Edgar Chase the fourth.
Present.
We also have two board members with us. Treasurer G. Wade Luton.
Present.
John Malazzo Jr. Thank you, Naj. We'll call this meeting to order. We had a meeting earlier this week for information because we were not able to have quorum. So we do need to go through some items today, basically to approve. So number one is the minutes from the program committee meeting minutes from November 16th, 2022, November 22nd, 2022. And so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Approval.
The approval of the minutes is properly moved. I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We'd also like to just recap for everyone the project that was discussed, because we'd like to also recommend approval of that project to the full board, so that we like the programs committee to recommend approval of that project. It's been a project that's been presented before. We've discussed it. It is the Barone Loss scattered site project. It's going to be about 22 senior units in Central City. The developer was here and explained how the project is going to work. It's going to be using 4% tax credits that were coincidentally approved by the LHC to date, as well as significant investments from a variety of sources. Finance New Orleans would be coming in as well to provide additional financial incentives that we can discuss in more detail at the full board meeting, but I'd like to entertain a motion for the program committee to recommend this project move forward at the full board meeting.
Yeah, I move that we move forward with the Barone Villas development.
The motion has been properly made. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I don't think we're gonna have any public comment for this meeting. We don't. So with that, I would move, entertain a motion to adjourn the program committee meeting. As you do.
I move for adjournment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That I do, well, let's call, do a roll call, open up the board meeting for the finance authority. Then we'll check.
Chair Edgar Chase the fourth.
Present.
Vice Chair Andronika Morris. Present. Secretary Treasurer G. Wade Luton. Board Member Giselle Johnson Banks. Board Member John Malazzo Jr.
Present.
Board Member Stephen Smith. Board Member Hunter Thomas. We have a quorum and we'll proceed. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for attending the Finance New Orleans Board of Trustees meeting on December 14, 2022. We had the roll call. And before we jump into old business, we do want to amend the agenda to add one item to section 4, new business.
Okay, so we're gonna be replacing the Iris handle scatter site deal with the Barone Village project.
The Barone project is being added to the agenda in light of the programs committee that just happened, so we're gonna move forward and we will need a unanimous approval for
forward to. I think we'll do it.
Guess something, need to vote one to amend the agenda, then two to add the new agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
It's a motion to amend the agenda. It's been properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Then what?
And
I'll make the,
and you make a motion to add the Barone project to item number 4, which is new business.
okay, so I'll make a motion to add a new agenda item, which is the new drone project to item 4. New business.
It's been a motion to add the new item for Rome Villas to agenda item number 4. It's been properly second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Agenda is amended. So we'll move on to let's move to the consent. Well, I'll touch on one thing on the old business, just for everybody. There's the annual ethics training that we all need to complete. If you haven't done so by the December 31st, 2022. It's a link that we can reshare again now and send out. But more importantly, make sure you complete it before December or on December 31st, 2022. Moving on to the consent agenda items. That's approval of the meeting Board of Trustees meeting minutes of November 16th, November 22nd, as well as the committee meetings of November 16th and November 22nd. If y'all had a chance to review, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, new business. That's the Barone Village redevelopment project.
So, yes, so this is a project that has been presented several times before the full board and the program committee. And the program committee got to hear it again for information earlier this week, and the program committee recommended that it be approved. So we like I would like to move that the full board approve this project moving forward. I'm making a motion.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving,
And just for
yes,
clarification, Chair Chase, that was for preliminary approval.
that's correct.
So there's more process and we have to come back to final approval. And we'll come back in January with final approval with approval more deals, hopefully in January.
That's correct. Thank you.
And the full board will be coming back for Iris too, because they're going to programs in January.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
And then that will be preliminary approval when they will come back.
Yes, sir.
Right.
One note I would like to say is it's good that I got to make this step that this is how we can expedite the project. As long as the board is comfortable and confident and understands what's going on, we can work with them.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, Finance and Investments Committee report, as well as the final approval of the final budget, correct? So,
Came in for it. I'm gonna approve the budget.
Switched out with the boards.
So I'll start with the finance and investments report. I'll just touch quickly on a market update. Excuse me. Markets have been anticipating the CPI number, which came out yesterday. It showed that inflation slowed more than expected, which is good. It came in at 7.1. The expectation was 7.3, and last month's reading was 7.7. So it slowed. Although that reading is favorable, the Fed still plan to they raised interest rates today, actually, by another half a point, which is a smaller bump from what they've done in the past 4 consecutive meetings of 75. So that's a move in the right direction. But they also said that they expect to raise rates to 5.1 before this rate cycle ends. So the other thing that they pointed out was that they expect to keep rates higher through 23, and they won't expect to reduce rates until going into 24. So I know the market's been really keyed in on that, and so everybody was looking forward to what they had to say about that. Overall, month over month, bond rates, mortgage rates dropped with that expectation of that CPI number coming out. Rates dropped. It was a reverse of that because they didn't expect the Fed to say that they won't continue to raise throughout 23 today in the market, but overall, month over month, we saw a drop. Unemployment rate, on the macro level remained the same at 3.7. And then on the local side, it's 4.1, the last reading, which is down from 4.8. Direction as well. Moving into the budget variance analysis. So minimal activity for the month of November. Our actual revenues year to date is 222,000. So a budget of 736,000. Right there is the income line, which we didn't have any closings, but we do have a robust pipeline lined up projects. And then on the expense side, we're at 1.6, so 2 million. So we have favorability there, 500,000. Moving on to the 13-month trending report. Slight increase in the revenue side for the month of November. We're down on the expense side for November, below our average one. Balance sheet, nothing material to report here. Composition remains the same. No activity on the pathways fund. Year to date, we're at 2,000. And on the revenue side, expense side, 38,000. And then finally, our cash equivalents is 8.3 as of November, which is down from 2,000, down 100,000. Any questions on the financial status? If not, I'll move into the budget. So today, we're presenting the final pass of the budget. This was presented in Finance and Investments Committee meeting. So this is up for board approval. We presented the preliminary budget last month. One of the takeaways from that meeting was to look at adding funds to the capital expenditure line for the renovation and the possible maintenance of 618 Brown. So you will see that that line has been populated now at 70,000. So just a quick recap, total revenues are budgeted at 811,000. 15,000 of that is interest from our cash accounts. 38,000 is from our single family fee income on our existing bond program. We have 250,000 in operating grant budgeted. And most is coming from the multifamily line, 508,000, which consists of 5 pilots. On the expense side, lower from our 2.3 budget, our proposed budget is 2 million, which is a 9% decrease. The biggest drivers is the salary and benefits line, which we're not replacing the vacant role we have. We're going to supplement that with our consultant professional services to fill the gaps, and then also the capital expenditure line. Those decreases are slightly offset by those increases in the consultant and professional services and business development lines. We see a slight increase in the operating and maintenance line, which is our lease that got removed, slightly higher rate. And then technology services line is slightly higher as we look to onboard our CRM, ERM, and advertise. And then you'll also see the marketing and advertisement line. We did not change from our prior budget, but we really did not launch the marketing efforts. You'll see in the projected line, 18,000 for the year. We know that's important going into 23, so we left that at 110. That's okay. Now, overall, the projected column, it changed slightly from the last view, but nothing material. We're still expecting to be favorable on the expense side by 500,000. Any questions, comments?
The capital expenditure, $70,000 item. We have an idea now, or maybe if you work in the future to know what that's going towards over the project.
Yeah, right now, we have been working, we know the main issue we have is the roof. And we received some quotes on that, so we're a little ahead of the game now, so we know the roof is gonna be between 50 to 100,000 there. So a lot of that is gonna go to.
It's empty right now, right? I can't.
It's empty. And also, we're proposing in our action plan to look at redevelopment ideas for the building. So the first step, maybe is just get the building minimally secure
Yeah.
before we invest too much money in
Yeah.
it, because we think there's a way to bring in some private capital to reach the goals of that.
Yeah.
So we'll bring more information to you about what ideas we can bring in from outside developers. Preferably it's gonna be done through an RFP, some sort of request to the community, but in the meantime, we'll spend only the amount we need to secure the building.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so this, the roof improvements would be theoretically harmonious. Future potential,
Well,
maybe not.
one of the things our consultant told us is that, you might want to think twice about how much we invest. in
Yeah,
the
that's
roof,
right. That's what I'm wondering too. Yeah.
Just invest enough to where the building is
Stabilize
secure
it, okay,
before we go too far.
fair enough.
But they do have to seal it up. They gotta.
Yeah.
Gotta stop getting for any further damage, which might be something that has to be undone. For this, for the next, whatever it's gonna, whatever. It's gonna-
Okay. Thank you. So we need to look the vote.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion in support of approving the budget as submitted? Second,
Second,
okay, all those in favor, say aye. All those against? Passes unanimously. And then, as we can turn to what to receive. Rejecting. Vote to receive the minutes, our minutes. Or the.
It would be a consent agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it.
So that's it on the finance.
Yes, sir.
That's the side. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we'll move as we've been going pretty smooth. We can go to the executive management report, just so you can share a few notes on what you have.
So, yeah, just,
yeah, I'm fine.
We did it.
Yeah, we did the. we fine.
yeah, just a few highlights. The action plan for next year has been designed alongside the budget that you just approved. Some of those action items were discussed during last month's board meeting. One more slide now. Actually, no. Right here. So here's a snapshot of some of those key action items for next year, getting back into the muni bond market, making upgrades to existing programs, enhancing our marketing efforts to attract more developers, to attract homeowners to make certain improvements to their homes. And of course, continuing the work of building out our infrastructure program. EPA announced the application or announced the request for information. And that was due in December, early December. So we have been a part of that response to the Green Bank Consortium as well as the city of New Orleans. So we're looking for, of course, a large investment to come out of that IRA funding. 27 billion set aside for Green Bank cities and states to make sustainability improvements. Vice Chair Morris and I participated in the workshop yesterday and today. led by the city's resilience office that positions us as the go-to agency to finance a lot of the new infrastructure.
You missed it when they were talking about, FNO is interested in a green bank. I'm like, Finance New Orleans is a
Yeah.
green bank.
So you're right. So that's a good point about we need some more PR and getting the community comfortable with what a green bank is and what we plan to do.
And yeah, I mean, the big issue is, and I don't want to belabor the point. But the big issue is that we've got people, now that the money is available. State, other partners are looking for things to do and they have to come here.
Yes.
There's no reason for anybody else in the state of Louisiana to be looking at other places, other people for this, other partners. Than Finance New Orleans. So yeah, we've got to get a little bullish with them too.
So that's gonna be a part of our marketing strategy for next year, and of course, working with the city to get that initial seed funding. Remember, we got 600,000 in seed funding committed from the city to jumpstart green infrastructure projects. Next slide, Nash. And a few other key action items that you'll see next year. Updated website to improve customer service, creating that marketing plan that we talked about during the retreat. We started developing that work as well. We're going to continue building out the community impact bonds. We've been having a lot of meetings with different investment banks, commercial banks, and foundations to advance the conversation of the impact bond. So the momentum is positive. We're still working out the details. We have a couple of calls scheduled in January. We're bringing some key groups together so that we can further push the idea of impact bonds, because that will give us more capital in-house to build up the reserves that y'all just looked at. It'll give us more runway, more room to support these programs. Of course, securing the 50 million from EPA. We're also building and operate a library of operating policies and playbooks so that we can systematize the work that we're doing here, and that we can continue to be sustainable. And we're also launching other technology platforms like a CRM, customer relationship management platform, the ERM, enterprise relationship, resources management platform, and also continuing education for the staff. Next slide, Nash. And lastly, here's some of the scorecard numbers that you'll start to see early next year. We're going to give you an actual scorecard. We're going to go through it every meeting during this particular report, but we're going to be looking at housing units produced, green building certificates, green jobs created, how much DV investment we're making, how many home buyer education certificates we're producing every month, what are our total assets, what's our margin on our revenues, what's our public-private leverage ratio, are we putting our public capital together or putting it to work efficiently? How many days does it take someone to go from application to closing? And how much new program revenue are we bringing in? These are a handful of the items that we're going to be looking at in total, but we'll give you a condensed version. So you can ask us, hey, what's going on with certificates? What's going on with the applications? Why is it taking so long? And there should be an answer for it. So we built the strategy and this action plan around these scorecard metrics and these metrics being able to tell a story.
You know, what might be interesting. I mean, this is a great list. Taking it to another level, which I don't know what sort of data is out there, is that you can start to compare. So, okay, you eventually you get a better handle of our numbers, but then comparing it to years, in other words, like how do you, so you've got a number, the question is it good, bad? And so the question, I don't know, that's my experience, the hard, I mean, it's hard enough selecting that in a systemic way, but then trying to objectively see if you're doing a good job or not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we can also, we can look at the report card data that we provide, the housing, all the stuff that talks about need globally.
Yeah, right.
FNO is not responsible, Finance New Orleans is not responsible for all of the need, but
Right.
also, and we do track the other agencies that are responsible for parts of
Right.
the need. So I think
Right.
that there could be an opportunity to compare
Mhm.
Finance New Orleans to its sister agencies inside of the city of.
Yeah, the trick is just comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, we can, our financial advisor should be able to help us with
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
and the
And
rating
your
agencies.
range too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the rating
Yeah.
agencies collect
Yeah.
that data.
Yeah.
So we have Baton Rouge, Miami, Orlando, we have some nearby, I won't say competitors, but
Yeah.
counterparts across the country. Where we can look at their data and see how we compare for sure. So we can look
Maybe
at
it's organic too, because over time you start to realize, oh no, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to Atlanta, because it's just It's huge. Compared to us.
Well, you know, what's
Modified.
interesting, what's interesting is all these cities are different and like Atlanta has. Large metro area, which they're covering. But when you look at just the population of Atlanta and New Orleans, they're about what. But still they have those external dynamics, they have different politics and
Yeah.
different jurisdictions, so. Sometimes it can be complicated, but we can put together.
Yeah, it's just worth considering.
Yeah, we can put together.
Kind of taking it to the next level.
I think the rating agencies put that in the back of their reports. Anyway, when they do an
Yeah.
industry report,
Yeah,
they
it's
compare
probably
it to-
there.
Yeah.
It's just.
Next slide now. And of course, these are the keys to success, more community-driven innovation, talented and committed staff, as well as support staff and professionals around us. Political cooperation, pipeline development and management, disciplined business administration and transparency. We want to procure the best consultants, invest primarily in projects that are sustainable. Strong capital market relationship, like our financial advisors we just discussed, and utilizing more technology. So these things are pervasive through the action plan. We match them up. And this is going to be our focus moving forward. And so this is really a roadmap for the rest of the strategic plan timeframe, because we have to keep taking it to another level, and it's going to take a few years of iterations to get us there. But that's where we are strategically. That's how we're going to start the year, and we'll give you a package when we get back in January that outlines all this information in detail. So we've been going through some planning processes with the facilitator that came in and did our board retreat. So part of that engagement was to close out the year with package of information and some strategies for moving forward next year. So we'll provide that to the board in January. And then lastly, next year, we have a couple of things that we want the board to keep in mind. So we need to do committee assignments in January, and that's going to be the chair's responsibility. And then also deciding on a board date for 2023. Keep it the same, or we can change it. Our staff is recommending that we move committee meetings and the board meeting to the same date, so that we can be more efficient and just use your time better. And then also we're recommending that we do board meetings on a Wednesday, thinking that would perhaps give you more flexibility in the schedule for Mondays.
Yeah.
So, and if y'all want time to think about that, we can come back and talk about that in January, but those are things we want to settle on at the start. of the
I
year.
think this is something that we have to do with a large enough group. We need everybody.
So we can table that for January.
And maybe we could even email folks and ask folks to share their preferences via email and then still have the good discussion and vote at the meeting, but get an idea from everybody ahead of schedule.
Last thing I'll say is I can't say too much about it yet because we're still collecting all the details, but we did receive word that we got preliminary approval for another foundation grant. So we did get 150 earlier this year from the Heron Foundation. We've been developing relationships with other foundations too. And so we just learned last night that we were approved for another. So we have some administrative work to do to receive that funding, but that'll certainly help supplement the budget that you just approved, and we're going to continue doing that for other funding. So more details to come on that. But that's some good Christmas.
That's awesome.
Christmas news.
That covers your 250 in that budget you put in. Right? So, you checked it off early.
I've got a question, whole unrelated. So, when we last, I'm thinking many years ago, right? So we'd have like, quote unquote, the annual meeting, where there'd be elections for the officers, et cetera, right? And then historically, after that meeting, we open and close for Noma Corporation, which is a separate meeting, but it was supposed to meet once a year. And it was, unless I completely out to lunch.
Talking about no,
Yeah.
we're shutting it down.
Are we?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're shutting down, it's not an issue then.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
we decided to,
Oh, we're talking about pet.
No, it was a separate legal entity, and you would have, it would have mirror officers. And then like obligatorily, we would have one meeting where it was just it was open and closed.
We,
Quick,
that's the original
yeah,
version of finance
Yeah.
authority, and we've been winding down
okay,
anything related to normal over the past few years. And in fact, the final thing to do is to completely take it out of commission and
Yeah, yeah.
start a new five.
okay, okay, gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure we're forgetting. something.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns, and we're looking forward to another successful year in all those matrix. Yeah, up there, up pretty good. We'll move on to. There's no other business, any public comment now?
No public comment.
No public comment at this time. Any other comments or questions from the board here? If there aren't any, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, we are done. But we do have to send out a doodle for that January date, right? Is that what I was saying?
Yes.
It's, we already have, it's the fourth week.
Oh, so
Or
that.
Monday, it's already
Yeah,
scheduled. We'll-
Got it.
The return.
Yeah, resend that one, and then from that one.
We'll change it and, yeah,
That's right.
I'll
Yeah.